Kunya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Givaradhari Yasodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Hare Krishna, this morning we will be reading from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, the confidential reasons for the Lord's appearance, text 202 till 213. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Text 202. So this is a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's in Sanskrit. Angastambarambam uttam gayantam premandanam daruka nabayanandat Kamsarater vichane yena saksat Aksodiyam antarayo vyadayi Ankastambarambam utam gayantam Premanandam darukonya bayan nabhyanandat Kamsarate vichanayena saksat Aksodiam antarayo vyatahi. Ankastambaram bhamuktam kayantam. Premam nandam darukunya bayan nabhyanandat. Kamsarate vichanayena saksam. Aksodiam antarayo vyatahi. So I can repeat. Angastambarantam utam kayantam. Premanandam darukonya bayandat. Kamsarate vichanena saksat. Aksodiam antarayo vyatahi. Angastambaram bhamuktam kayantam. Premanandam darukonya bhyanandat. Kamsarate vichanayena saksat. Aksodiam antarayo vyatahi. Mataji, please. Angastabaram bhamukta kayantam. Premanandam darukonya bhayandat. Kamsarate vichanayana saksat. Aksodiam antarayo vyatahi. Angastambaram bhamuktam kayantam. Premandanam darukonya bhayandat. Kamsarate vichanayena saksat. Aksodiam antarayo vyatahi. But for our translation, Anga of the limbs, Stamba Arambam, the beginning of stupefaction, Utagayantam, which was causing him to reach, Prema Anandam, the joy of love, Daruka, the Lord chariot driver. Na, not Abhyanandat, welcomed. Kamsa Arate, of Lord Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa. Vijane, in funning with a chamara fan. Yena, by which Saksat, clearly, Aksodiyan, greater, Antaraya, obstacle, Vyadayi, has been created. Translation, purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shri Daruka did not relish is ecstatic feelings of love. For they caused his limbs to become stunned and thus obstructed his service of fanning Lord Krishna. Purport. This verse is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3 to 62. We will be reading up to 213. Next is also a verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Govinda Preshanaksipi Baspa. You want to repeat? No. Yeah. Baspa para bivakshinam Ucher aninda anandam Aravinda vilochana. The lotus-eyed Radharani powerfully condemned the ecstatic love that caused a flow of tears that hindered her sight of Govinda. Purport. This verse is also from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.3.54. Text 204. Arasuda Bhakta Krishna Prema Sam Sevavine Svasukarta Salukya Dinakari Kahane. Furthermore, pure devotees never forsake the loving service of Lord Krishna to aspire for their own personal pleasure through the 5 kinds of liberation. Purport. A pure devotee of Krishna who loves him exclusively will flatly refuse to accept any sort of liberation, beginning from merging with the body of the Lord and extending to the other varieties of liberation, such as equality of form, opulence or abode, and the opulence of living near the Lord. Text 205. Madguna Shruti Matrena Mai Sarva Kuhasaye Manogatir Avichina Yata Gangam Basum Buddha. Just as the celestial waters of the Ganges flow unobstructed into the ocean, so when my devotees simply hear of me, their minds come to me, who reside in the hearts of all. 206. Lakshanam Bhakti Yogyasya Nirgunasya Yudaritam Ahaituk Apyapahita Ya Bhakti Purushottame. These are the characteristics of transcendental loving service to Purushottam. The personality of Godhead, it is causeless and it cannot be obstructed in any way. Then is a verse from the Bhagavatam. Saloka Shaski Surapya Samikhyakatvam Apyuta Diyamanam Nahinanti Inamat Shivanam Jana. My devotees do not accept Salokya, Saskti, Sarupya, Samipya, or oneness with me, even if I offer these liberations in preference to serving me. Purport. These 3 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam were spoken by Lord Krishna in the form of Kapila-dev. Text 208. Matsevaya patitam te salokyadi satustayam neshanti sevaya purna kutunya kala viplutam. My devotees, having fulfilled their desires by serving me, do not accept the 4 kinds of salvation that are easily earned by such service. Why then should they accept any pleasures that are lost in the course of time? This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.67 was spoken by the Lord in the connection with the characteristics of marriage, unmarriage, merging into the existence of the Absolute, is as temporary as living in the celestial kingdom. Both of them are controlled by time. Neither position is permanent. 209. Kamaganda inasvabhavika kopi prema nirmala uchvala sudayena daktahema. The natural love of the gopis is devoid of any trace of lust. It is faultless, bright, and pure like molten gold. Krishna rasaya go bandava prayasi gopika haina prayasisya sakidasi. The gopis are the helpers, teachers, friends, wives, dear disciples, confidants, and serving maids of Lord Krishna. Sahaya kuravasisya ujisya bandavastriya satyam vadami te parta gopya kim me bhavantina. O Parth, I speak to you the truth. The gopis are my helpers, teachers, disciples, servants, friends, and consorts. I do not know what they are not to me. This verse was spoken by Lord Krishna in Gopi Premamrita 202. Gopika Janina Krishna Manira Vanchita Prema Chiva Paripati Ista Samihita. The gopis know Krishna's desires and they know how to render perfect loving service for his enjoyment. They perform their service expertly for the satisfaction of their beloved. Man Mahatyam Matsaparyam Mashadaman Manogatam Jananti Gopika Partha Nanye Jananti Tatvataha. O Partha, the gopis know my greatness. By loving service, respect for me, and my mentality, others cannot really know me. This verse was spoken by Lord Krishna to Arjuna in the Adi Purana. Om Ajnanati Vrandasya Jananjana Shaka Aksharan Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurve Namah Chitchetayamanopistam Staptam Yena Bhutaleshvam Rupakadamyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiyuda Padakamanam Shirum Vaishnavam Sha Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saganalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jyatpate Gopesha Goprakanta Radhakanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Kaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshvare Vishabhana Siddha Devi Pranamama Hari Priye Pankha Kalptrabhisha Kripasin Brivisha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarane. Srila Prabhupada Ki. So this, I'm very happy to be with you today once again in the Brooklyn temple with the beautiful deities of Shishirada, Govinda, and Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, Shishikanitai, that the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is the PhD study of spiritual life. That PhD, it's for those who are on the liberated platform beyond liberation. Especially in this chapter, pure devotional service of the gopis is explained. That I'm certainly not qualified to speak on that, but by the blessings of the Vaishnavas and Srila Prabhupada, I try to say something. That in this chapter first, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains the difference between lust and love. That explained lust is giving satisfaction to the body, mind and senses of this body. That spiritual love is giving pleasure to the transcendental senses of Govinda, Supreme Lord. That so they are of different nature. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes that lust is based on ignorance, that and love for Krishna, prema, is transcendental. That in chapter 4 of Nectar of Devotion, there Srila Prabhupada he explains the purity of devotional service. He says, yes, this pure devotional service is transcendental. That and therefore it's transcendental to any material condition. That that means that it is the birthright of everyone who takes birth in the material world. Is pure devotional service. And Prabhupada explains that in just before the appearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, there was a certain tradition, the Nitya Vamsa tradition. They were descendants of Lord Nityananda, and they claimed the monopoly of devotional service. We can only give pure devotional service. That was their point. That, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj smashed completely that idea. That pure devotional service does not depend on any caste or creed or whatever. It's the birthright of everyone. That this is what Prabhupada explains, but then after that is giving some practical examples that even, and he gives this example, this is an example given from Skanda Purana. There it is said, in a country known as Mayurajpach, the lower caste people who are considered less than Sudras are initiated into the Vaishnava cult of devotional service. And when they are properly dressed with tilak and their bodies and beads in their hands and on their necks, they appear as coming from Vaikuntha. In fact, they look so beautiful that immediately they surpass the ordinary Brahmins. That shows when one becomes a Vaishnava, is higher than a Brahmin, and that is so yes, but here pure devotional service is explained. So Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj explains the difference between lust and love. Is prema. But how can we understand his purity? And he gives examples here. That Daruka was in Dasaras. He was serving the Lord as a servant. He was fanning the Lord. And during that fanning, ecstasy came up, and I said, I don't want this, because that's obstructing my service. So these are examples that, like the gopis, is the other example given here. They wanted to serve Krishna. They want to please Krishna, not themselves. Yes, when in their service, ecstasy came up, and tears were flowing from their eyes. They could not see Krishna, and therefore they condemned this ecstasy, because every moment they could not see Krishna was feeling of separation, was enhancing their feeling of separation. And so these are examples of selfless pure devotional service. That pure devotional service is completely selfless. Nothing for oneself. And that's the principle of spiritual love. That it's the principle of pure love starts with pleasing the beloved without asking something in return, even of the sacrifice, even at sacrificing oneself, just pleasing the beloved. And that principle is explained by Rupa Goswami, is explained by Lord Chaitanya. Of course, we have the verse Trinata Pishnachna Tora Vishrishna Aman Amanadna Kirtanya Sadari. One must be more humble than a straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all respects. One should give respect to others, all honor to others. In that state of mind, one can chant holy name constantly. That's the first verse, but the purity really is explained in the next verse. Najanam nasundarim kavtapasa isa kamayi mama chamami chamamishvare bhavta bhakti ahaitaki. Say, I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, I don't want a relationship with the opposite sex. So giving up all material desires. But then he says, I only want to serve the Supreme Lord. Birth after birth. He does even not want liberation. Because wanting liberation is also material desires. It's a material desire to get rid of suffering. No, just wanting to serve the Lord without anything in return. So that is a pure devotional service. And Krishna in Bhagavad Gita gives in the 3rd chapter this principle, but in the 2nd chapter he gave already the first steps toward it. And he said, Karmane vodkarste ma phaleshna kachana. You should do your duty, but you should not be attached to the result. So that's the first step. Don't ask results for yourself, nothing for yourself. Just doing your duty, that's the first step. And then you become peaceful. And when you become peaceful, you control your mind. And when you control your mind, then you can develop love for Krishna. Then the development of love comes. Because that's just one principle. We want to give our love to Krishna. The first step is that to concentrate your mind on Krishna. For this you must be peaceful, constantly giving your attention to the lover, attention. And then the next step is, then you can give your love. That's the next step. But this love is explained here, the Vrajavasis, and that's because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that all, because mundane people, they think of the love between Radha and Krishna like the love between a girl and a boy in this world, but it has nothing to do with it. That it's just very dangerous to make that mistake. Because the so-called love in this world is always materially motivated. It's in the bodily concept of life. One who is in the bodily concept of life cannot develop love for Krishna. You have to give up this bodily concept of life. And giving up that bodily concept of life, that's called purification. That purification of one's existence. Sattva samsuddhir. If you purify your existence and you give up your bodily conception, you start to identify with the soul, and you start to act as a soul. That's explained in Bhagavad Gita. How to act as a soul. Not how to act, give up the action as being the body. That's not easy to understand. That the first step is getting to liberation, and after liberation we will develop love for God. But the process is the same, to purify oneself and to develop love for Krishna. You chant the holy names of Krishna, you hear about Krishna. That is what Brahma says in this verse. Bhagavatam 10:14-3. This is famous verse that when Lord Chaitanya was traveling in South India, he was staying during the Chaturmasya in the home of the Kurma Brahman. And after 4 months, after the Chaturmasya, Lord Chaitanya was going to continue his travel. And Goma Brahman said, I became attached to you. He wanted to go with Lord Chaitanya and leave his family. And Lord Chaitanya said, he spoke this verse, which was spoken by Lord Brahma to Krishna. Yane payasam upadasyanamanta eva chivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam stane stita shrutikaratam tanuvan manobir yapraya suchita chitopyastai stridokam. So those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge and with their body, words and mind offer all respects to the descriptions of your personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees, surely conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three walls. So in this verse, Lord Brahma said, the only thing we have to do is hear about Krishna and discuss about Krishna. You don't have to change your situation. That you don't have to become a mendicant or renounce things suddenly. No. You hear about Krishna, you discuss about Krishna. And what will be the result? That Machita Machata Prana Bodhyanta Sprashparam Kartyanta Samam Nishnatu Shanti Sharamantisha. By hearing about Krishna, you become attached to Krishna. And you relish hearing about Krishna. What happens if you become attached to Krishna? What is the side effect according to the Bhagavatam? Two side effects. You become renounced of this material world, detachment, and you get real knowledge, spiritual knowledge, how to act as a spirit soul. So this is factually this pure love which is described here is what everyone wants in this material world. That it's deep-rooted in us, but we have forgotten it. And Srila Prabhupada arrived in America, one time, one reporter asked him, "So, Swami, you are coming to America, what's your mission?" And Prabhupada answered, "I'm coming to remind you of what you have forgotten." So we are all suffering from spiritual amnesia. We have forgotten our real self. That we have become out of touch with our real self, and that's our disease. Because this lust is a cause of problems. There was one lady, Susan, I forgot her family name, but she wrote Prabhupada that following these four regulative principles is artificial. Why doing that and so on. So that and Prabhupada replied to her that if one does not follow these four regulative principles, then your life will be full of suffering. That's also what Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says. If one acts out of lust, the great learned transcendentalist has concluded that one who wants to enjoy the senses and so on, the result will be suffering. And this enjoyment is temporary. It's not worthwhile, that suffering. So we see family life. If in family life the four relative principles are not followed, what will be the result? Prabhupada says family life will be very troublesome if you are not following that. And it's just a fact that there are, everyone has this, or so many have this practical experience in this world, that how it becomes suffering. But yes, Prabhupada said, I'm going to remind you what you have forgotten. Krishna is in our heart and is waiting. He's waiting, that until we turn our face back to him. And Krishna is so kind that he gives us this body because we want to enjoy separate from him. And although we are rebellious, he gives us everything we need to maintain this body and so on. But we remain in ignorance. That the bodily concept of life is ignorance. And as long as one is in ignorance, one cannot level up love for Krishna. It's offensive. Because everyone in ignorance becomes offensive. Why? Simply, let's try to understand Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita 3.30. Mai sarvani karmani. This verse, Krishna explains how to act as a spirit soul and not as the body. So you act as a spirit soul when you act without thinking, this is mine, no sense of proprietorship. No sense of I'm the enjoyer. Just acting out of duty to please the Supreme Lord. That is acting as a spirit soul. And if we act as a spirit soul, we become purified. But there are always two big obstacles of that path of becoming purified. And Krishna explains that in 3.34. See, raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. Attachment to what gives pleasure to the body, aversion to what gives pain. And when one acts on that platform, it's because the pain is for the body. The soul cannot feel pain. It's all an experience in the mind. We identify with it. Attachment, aversion. That Arjuna did not want to serve Krishna and by killing his grandfather. No. Although Bhishmadev deserved to be killed because of his criminal acts, that of taking part of Duryodhana and supporting him. That few more things there. But yes, he did not want, because he was attached to Bhishmadev. He had raised him as a child. There was so much affection on the bodily platform, and he could not do it. And that was his problem in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. But gradually, this ignorance was removed, that we are not his body. These relationships are just temporary for some years and then it's gone. We have got so many births already in the material world, so many relationships. It's all gone. So our real relationship is our relationship with Krishna. And that we have forgotten. But that relationship is a relationship of love. And this purity of this love is explained. And this Krishna prema is rarely achieved. Rarely achieved. It's already very rare, Bhagavad Gita said, out of thousands who are perfect in knowledge of liberation. Krishna says, koti, millions. One may become a devotee of Krishna. That's out of thousands. So how rare it is, the rarity of pure devotional service. Because to attain pure devotional service, one must be beyond the body concept of life, and that's called liberation. When one understands I'm not a body, there is really no problem in this problem for the soul that I'm not going to die, that the soul is meant only for Ananda, that Ananda is experienced in our relationship with Krishna. So there is no issue. That's the good news of Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna said, Natvevam chatunasham natvam neme chanapntipa nashevana bhavishama savavayamataparam. Krishna said, you, all these kings and me have existed in the past, are existing now, and will never cease to exist in the future. So we will never stop to exist. Death is for the body, but it's nothing to do with us. We are leaving the body. And it's ignorance. Most people are not thinking, who am I? Where do I come from? Where do I go? No idea. Just superficial life. Nothing, they are not going in the depth that a life, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one who lives only for the pleasure of the senses lives for nothing. That Jesus Christ, quoted by Prabhupada many times, says, but what profited a man if he gains the whole world but loses his spirit soul? And that is what we have forgotten, our identity. But our identity is one of a lover of Krishna. And this highest love is described here. And Rupa Goswami has given us this definition, Anyabilasa sunyam kana karmata navtam anukuliyena Krishna silanam bhakti-uttama, that pure devotional service is meant to please Krishna, and without any material motivation, that not wanting liberation, that not wanting anything material, so this relationship with devotees, they become, especially those who are advanced, who are on the liberated platform, they become very sweet, these relationships between pure devotees. Srila Prabhupada sometimes with advanced God brothers, if he was dealing, was very special. So that is the goal of our lives, to attain this love for Krishna, but it is beyond liberation. But when I came to this movement, I was thinking, Krishna, God is a blue coward boy. Blue coward boy. I was thinking maybe that how can God be a blue coward boy? How to understand this? That there are so many religions, and in all the other religions, no one has the relation that God is a blue coward boy. So how is that? But then, this love lies beyond liberation. So where is the science explained? In which religion is the science explained that we are not a body? That we are a spirit soul? If you don't know you are a spirit soul, can you attain liberation? No. They don't have a clear goal. And this love lies beyond liberation. It means Prabhupada gave us a process to develop love of Godhead. You don't find that in the other religions. That does not mean they are completely excluded. That some in rare instances they may attain. Like Srila Prabhupada was in Australia by the followers of Franciscus from Assisi. They are also vegetarians and so on. And he told them, you are also Vaishnavas. That because Franciscus from Assisi was also developed love for Godhead. So when Srila Prabhupada was in America, there was once a debate on television, broadcasted all over America. And the interviewer asked Prabhupada, he said, this is a Christian preached, and he follows the tenets of the Bible. Can he attain perfection? And Prabhupada said, if any religion that teaches love of Godhead, and they can attain love of Godhead, is a bona fide religion. That's very interesting. So it's not sectarian, but you need to follow a process that leads to love of Godhead. But love of Godhead lies beyond liberation. So first one must learn I'm not a body. I'm a spirit soul. And then attain liberation. Therefore Krishna explains this jnana yoga, this astanga yoga, dhyana yoga, to get liberation. But then he says bhakti yoga is the highest. You don't have to do all these things. Just perform bhakti yoga, and you will also go to the stages, become purified, and attain love of Godhead. And this nature of love of Godhead is explained in these verses. And it's going so deep. It gives practical examples here. Our devotee says, I don't want liberation, I don't want all these things. I just want to please Krishna out of love. If this ecstasy is hampering my service, I don't want it. I just want to please Krishna. And this is pure love. And if we come to that point of pure love, then Krishna reciprocates. And he reciprocates very beautifully. So it means to get Krishna reciprocate, we must act in pure devotional service. You can act in pure devotional service even with an impure heart. And that is the point. If you act in pure devotional service, then Krishna reciprocates. Yayashari Dasya Karmanamanatsakare Nikolash Abhavashtasu Jivan Mukta Sauchate. In this verse of Rupa Goswami, Rupa Goswami explains how to act as a liberated soul. As a liberated soul. Use your body, mind and words always in the service of Krishna. And that's the spiritual power we get. When Srila Prabhupada started this movement in the 70s, joining the Moon movement meant you give all your possessions to ISKCON, you join the ashram, and that's it. That those who were living outside, they were in Maya. You had to live in the temple. And everyone went out for book distribution, of magazine distribution, Harinam the whole day. And that was it. That they had no material desires. And that purity made Krishna reciprocate. And this period in the 70s is called the period of the Hare Krishna explosion. We distribute millions of books all over the world. So Krishna reciprocates with our purity. But to attain purity, we have to boil the milk. We have not just joining this movement, but follow the process, associate with devotees, and discuss about Krishna and how to make spiritual advancement based on Prabhupada's books. And by that, we inspire each other in our sadhana. And when you feel inspired and your sadhana improved, then you want to serve. You want to serve. And when you want to serve, and you serve nicely together, then you come to the point of becoming committed. I'm committed to this process. And this must further grow to become core members. Then you become committed to the process in ISKCON, but then you have to come to the missionary work. And that spread the Krishna consciousness movement, that serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. And that's really the selfless service to Srila Prabhupada in his mission is the same as the selfless service of the gopis for Krishna. And that's unique. So, at 9 o'clock, I'll stop here. Any question or comment? Yes, please.
Good morning, Hare Krishna. Thank you for the lecture. So, just to understand, to love Krishna, we have to purify our soul.
No. Purify our heart, mind. The soul is always pure.
Okay, so
it's just what's around us. You have the soul, you have consciousness. Our pure consciousness is Krishna consciousness. But when that consciousness becomes polluted by material nature, passion and ignorance, we identify with the body. And that is what we have to purify.
Okay, to love Krishna, do we have to love our soul first?
That love for our soul is natural because we are a part and parcel of Krishna. So if we love Krishna, we love ourselves.
Okay.
Because within the soul is the super soul. We are intimately connected.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much.
Good? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the beautiful class, Maharaj. Much, I had a question. As we read in the verse, Daruka flatly rejected liberation. And as we were discussing in the class, that liberation actually means purification of heart. So as a sadhaka, should I even think about liberation/purification, or that should just come as a byproduct of my devotional service? Should that be one of the goals to tick in my service?
We should be concerned with purifying our heart. That's certainly. But with the aim to develop love for Krishna, nothing else. If we develop love for Krishna, liberation is already attained. It's a byproduct. That is what Lila Sukha said, Bilva Mangal Thakur. He said to Krishna that liberation is at my doorstep. Because when you have developed love for Krishna, you are beyond liberation already. You are already. Daruka is already beyond liberation. But he does not want liberation. He's not interested. But he's already beyond, because he's performing pure devotional service. That's because love for Godhead is beyond liberation. That's 6 symptoms of pure devotional service, the beginning of Nectar of Devotion. That pure devotional service derides liberation. It's beyond that. Does that help?
My question was, so what is Daruka really rejecting? Because if it's part of devotional service.
He is rejecting the symptoms of ecstasy. Because the symptoms of ecstasy give some spiritual enjoyment, but he wants to give enjoyment to Krishna. And the spiritual ecstasy is hampering, is moving his fan and so on. So it's hampering his devotional service. I said, I don't want it. That is not, and that is a pure devotional service. One does not want, or anything that hampers is acting out of pure love for Krishna. That's all. Simple. Thank you. Good. Thank you very much. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, jai.